Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Steve Solkela here in Two Harbors with my dear friend Nathan Benson, who's up from Plano, Texas. Nathan is a competitive speed cuber, and I'm going to ask Nathan a few questions and get to meet him. Nathan, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Steve.
Why don't you tell us just a little bit about these little colorful digits you got here?
Yeah, so this is obviously the Rubiks Cube, invented in like the late 70s, early 80s. And there is a large community for solving it as quickly as possible. And there are official competitions where people go and they just sit here with their timers and solve the cube as fast as they can. There are all sorts of different puzzles, like cubes of different sizes. There's a whole subcategory of events for doing it blindfolded. That's my personal favorite event to compete in. The reason I have so many cubes is that my favorite event is something called multi-blind, where you're not just solving the Rubik's Cube blindfolded, you are scrambling up several different cubes, each with different scrambles, and then you sit here and memorize them all, put on your blindfold, and solve them all back to back. And my personal best is solving 10 cubes blindfolded, but I'm trying for 15.
You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? He can put a blindfold on and memorize 10 Rubik's Cubes and solve it. Let us know in the comments section if you can do that. It's going to be a pretty empty section, I'm pretty sure. The 3x3, the classic Rubik's Cube, that's the way most people get their foot in the door into this competition. But he's got a 5x5 as well, which takes a little bit longer to do. But Nathan specifically succeeds, especially at blindfolded Rubik's Cubing. We're going to give you just a little bit of that today. So what they do in competition is they give you a random scramble. For me, I'm going to do that. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about blindfolded Rubik's Cubing? What goes through your mind during that nonsense?
So, essentially, to solve the Rubik's Cube blindfolded, I think of it like I have a little distribution center at the bottom of the cube, and there's like one piece that's in that spot, and I see that piece, I see where it's supposed to go, and I have a predetermined set of moves that's going to send it there. And then when I send it there, the piece that's currently in that spot then gets sent back down to the distribution center, and I know what that piece is, so I know where that piece needs to go. I have another set of moves for that piece, and so I have a set of moves to send it there, which sends another piece back, and I can think in that way of like just swapping two pieces with each other over and over and over again until every piece eventually needs to go, gets where it needs to go.
So when they're in competition for the blindfolded events, the timer starts and you have an hour to do it, and you need to tell them in advance how many you're going to do, right?
Yeah.
So your record is 10.
Yes.
Right now we're going to do 1, so this should hopefully be relatively easy.
Yeah.
He gets a Rubik's Cube that's all been professionally messed up by yours truly, and he's going to memorize how to solve it before he moves at all, and then he's going to blow your mind. Nathan, take it away.
Yeah. So I'm gonna talk through what I'm doing here. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna start. Each location on the cube has its own like letter. And so I build myself a set of instructions on how to solve the cube that's essentially a string of letters. So my first letter here is going to be A. And then I look at the piece that's in position A, and that is piece letter G. So then I can go to spot G on the cube, and that has piece H in it. So, and then H has F. So A, G, H, F are the first 4 letters of my string. Then I see E, S, N, V, E, S, N, V, A, G, H, F, A, G, H, F, E, S, N, V. And so how I remember the string of random letters is I take 2 letters and I turn them into a word. A, G, Agatha. So I think of Agatha Harkness from WandaVision. A, G.
So you spend half the time memorizing before you even move it.
More like 2/3 or 3/4 I spend staring at the cube just memorizing letters. A, G, H, F. H, F would be hoof. So I think Agatha Harkness, and she's holding like just this big old horse hoof. Then E, S would be Eskimo.
So I think of a guy bundled up in a little parka, ESNV. A friend of mine has a cat that's named Envy. So I think of this black cat. So I think of Agatha, she's holding a hoof, and then there's an Eskimo huddled up next to her holding this black cat named Envy. And let's see, JMA. I have an odd number of letters here, so I double the A. So I think of my friend Aaron. And then to flip this piece, that would be W and S and C. Yeah, S and C. So I think of a soccer ball. So it's Agatha, hoof, Eskimo, Envy, Jimmy, Aaron, soccer. Okay, and now I have to do it all again for the corners of the cube. That was for the edges.
It's neat to follow this roadmap of your mind, man. It's a trip.
And then KQ, kumquat. And then FF. So Fife. Juggler, X Wolverine, kumquat, Fife. Okay, and then my edges were Agatha, hoof, Eskimo, Envy, Jimmy, Aaron, soccer. Okay, I think I am ready to put on my blindfold and solve this bad boy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, in case you're just tuning in, I'm here today with Nathan Benson. He's from Plano, Texas. He's a competitive Rubik's Cuber. He just spent a little time memorizing a Rubik's Cube that was all messed up, and he's got his memorization all in his head. He competes in the blindfolded events, and yeah. He's going to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded.
N, V, J, M, A. Parity algorithm. And then S, C. So theoretically, all of the edges should be solved except for these two should be in each other's spots. This would be then white-orange, and this one would be white-blue. Let's see. J, G, X, W, and then it was, what was it? Come on, right, so K, Q, F. There it is.
Boom! You seen it here, ladies and gentlemen. He solves the Rubik's Cube blindfolded. I did a darn good job mixing it up, I'm pretty sure, but gosh, Nathan, that's incredible.
5 minutes and 17 seconds, and like almost 4 minutes of that was just staring at the cube, memorizing it. And of course, I was talking through it all, so my mind was running a little slower.
Wow, what a joy. I can't wait to see all of your success, and I'm glad you got to visit me and show us all a little bit of the details of it. And we wish you all the best. Is there anything we can support you? You got Facebook, social media handles. Now's a chance to promote yourself.
Steve, you know I don't have social medias.
He's an introvert, ladies and gentlemen, but we love him anyway. Nathan Benson from Plano, Texas, competitive speed Rubik's Cuber. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Back to you, Michelle.